Today we're unlocking some motivation for people wanting to accelerate in their life and careers with tips on leadership and confidence. The Million Person Project is an organization dedicated to sharing that message with others. And here to tell us more about how it works are co-founders Heather Box and Julian Mocine McQueen. Heather, Julian, thank you so much for joining me here at Live in the Bay.
Thanks for having us.
To be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about the Million Person Project, as I know that you guys are just helping so many people. So, Julian, I'll start with you. Give us an overall view of what it's about.
Yeah, so we started the Million Person Project in 2011, and it came out of our background in the work that we were doing, which was in the environmental nonprofit realm at the time. And we saw a couple things. We were lucky to be surrounded by some really incredible speakers and people that were really adept at telling story. And that was inspiring. We saw how that impacted the work. And then the flip side was like we were surrounded by way more people who were doing really great work, really inspiring, but were not good at sharing their story. And so we started to think about that and said, there's something here that we can support people who are already doing cool things, who have good ideas, who are interesting and awesome, but aren't conveying what they're up to. And from that came our book, where we really wanted to make available some of the tools that we had come up with and learn to anybody and everybody, because we really believe everybody has a story worth sharing.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so we're going to dive into kind of what some of those tips are. But Heather, why is it important for people to own their own stories?
Yeah, I think every single person has a unique story, and we tend to love to hear other people's stories, but then when it comes to telling our own story, we can feel really caught up in, is the story feel too personal, or I don't really have one of those stories. And your story is what makes you unique. And so it's part of your superpower. Having people understand why you are the way that you are really helps people to be able to authentically connect to you, and that creates such a beautiful connection.
Yeah, everyone does have their own unique story, and I can see how it can be really powerful to kind of harness that. And so, Julian, what does that do once people are able to own their stories, and how do they then take it a step further to unlock those superpowers?
Yeah, so I think that really has to do with, first and foremost, just how you understand your own story can help you to show up in a different, more confident, more grounded way. So we really work with people a lot on understanding your story starts with you. And when you can understand it, you can start to really feel the power in it for yourself. And that's part of what translates it to other people. When you're feeling the power within your story, when you're feeling the emotion that might come up, that is where you begin to unlock the superpower. And that superpower is creating a space for connection with people, is creating a place where people can say, oh, it's not just what they're saying, but I understand who they are. And that's and I want to be a part of that, and I want to get to know them, and that's where that superpower comes from.
So you've turned all of this into your book, and what are some of the things behind the pages that people can take away from it?
Yeah, so one of the main things when we tell people, hey, you should be telling your story, they say, well, I have no idea where to start. Or they say, like, I want to help my dad or my mom tell their story, but I don't know where to start with them. So what we invite people to do is something called a life map. And a life map is you just take a big piece of paper and some colored pens, and you draw out all of the turning points in your life, the influential people, moments of challenge, moments of celebration, like where those values were shaped in your life. It's a big reflection process. And when you start to map that out and then you share it with somebody else, you start to really see these threads of your life, and that can be a great starting point for you to both share your story and also just own that you do have a story and that you have a story worth sharing.
Wow, sounds like a great activity for Mother's Day coming up, right?
I like that, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
That just kind of gave me, that popped in my idea of learning a little bit more about your parents and where they've come from. Okay, so we're gonna get into some of the tangible tips that people can take away in unlocking their superpowers. So what's the first thing that we wanna talk about?
Well, the first thing, as Heather mentioned, is really that taking a big step back and seeing what's there. So one of the first things we suggest people to do is that life map. But from there, we think about values. What are the values that guide you? What are your beliefs? And how do you understand those? And so there's an exercise in there about values where you identify a value by name or short phrase. Then you get into, well, what does that mean to you? So really defining your own definition. We all use the same words for values and beliefs, but the actual meaning is unique to us. And then the other part of that exercise is digging into the stories. Well, how did you come to learn that? Who taught that to you? Was that something that was absent in your life, and that's why it means so much to you? How do you understand that? And finally, how does it show up in your day-to-day life? So how does it inspire you or inform what you've chosen to do? How does it inform how you do it? How does it inform you to be a parent or a sibling or a friend, right? All the different ways it shows up in your life, and you can really begin to have a clearer sense of your guiding values, and that can be so useful to just know, but also in communicating, helping people understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so once you have this roadmap laid out, Heather, and you're understanding more about your values, how can you apply that into your life in terms of where you want to go, maybe in your career or just relationships, your everyday life?
Yeah, so there's so many different applications, and the third step is really crafting your narrative for how you're going to share it with the world. So a lot of our clients, for example, are taking the TED stage, and so they're crafting TEDx talks, or they're crafting keynote addresses, and so that's one exciting way, is like an actual formal speech. Another way is in your company, in your business, in your team meetings, allowing people to know why you lead the way that you lead. So it can be in that way, but it can also be around the kitchen table with your family, with your children. It's really powerful for your children to understand the stories that have shaped your values, because they understand your values because you're telling them how to live, right? But then when you tell them why your values are the way they are, and you open up and you share those stories, it can really create another level of understanding and also just openness in your family. So we really also encourage, we love when people go big and, you know, speak at the UN or TED Talk or this or that, but we also encourage that kitchen table sharing, because it can be such a powerful thing to bring your family closer.
Yeah, I love that, because it's really actually happening on a bunch of different levels is what you're talking about. Like, you can use this tool to achieve some great big goals that you might have, but it's also applicable just in your household. I love that. So what is some of the takeaways that you've seen from some of your clients? What have you seen as far as them receiving this information and applying it into their daily life?
Well, as Heather mentioned, I mean, we've had the joy of working with a number of people who have done TEDx and TED Talks. So from the big stage, they have an idea. They've been able to really find the most succinct and compelling way to talk about that. But also just, I've been excited about even a family member, my cousin, he came through and did some of the exercises, and he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit down with my boys and talk through this. And that was just as gratifying and just as inspiring as some of the folks talking from big stages around the world.
I love that. I love that. So before I let you go, I'm going to ask you both the same question. What is it that you hope? Yeah, celebrity crush. No, but what is it that you hope that people take away from this book?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's really about people owning who they are and being all of who they are while they have the chance. I mean, life can be so short, or it can be long, and it goes by so quickly. And so many of us spend so much time hiding who we actually are, or trying to be who we think we should be for someone else. And I hope that people read our book and decide, no, I'm gonna take this opportunity to be all of who I am, and I'm gonna be myself out loud.
I love that. What about you, Julian?
Yeah, I mean, mine is related to that. I think to that end, you know, it's a practice. It's something that it's a muscle. We have to work it. Sharing about ourselves, listening to others, really revealing ourselves and being authentic in who we are is a muscle that we practice. And so we created a tiny little book. It's just over 100 pages because we didn't want you to get bogged down in that. How can you take what we offer in that book and really just put it to use in your everyday life, from the kitchen table to the boardroom and everywhere in between, you know?
Heather, Julian, this is very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about this here on Live in the Bay.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.